A woman, irritated and impatient, walks into a hospital reception area, clearly dissatisfied with her surroundings. The cold white walls and the sterile lighting make her uncomfortable, as do the murmurs of other patients waiting for their consultations. Holding her purse tightly, she seems to be on high alert, as though she's in a dangerous place. She's only been waiting for about 20 minutes, but to her, it feels like an eternity. Her headache is intensifying, and every small noise seems to make the discomfort worse. When a baby cries in the distance, Karen sighs loudly enough for others to notice. With little patience left, she abruptly stands and walks to the front desk. "Excuse me, I've been waiting too long, and my head is about to explode. I need to be seen now," she demands. The receptionist, a tired-looking young woman, calmly responds, "Ma'am, we're following the order of arrival and prioritizing urgent cases. We'll attend to you as soon as possible." Karen crosses her arms, unimpressed. "So, my pain doesn't matter? What kind of hospital is this? I pay my taxes, you know. This is ridiculous." Before the receptionist can respond, Karen huffs, turns, and goes back to her seat. She looks around at the other patients with a judgmental air, as if they were beneath her. "They probably don't even have health insurance," she mutters under her breath, oblivious to the uncomfortable glances from those who'd just arrived. Minutes tick by, and Karen's frustration grows. "I can't believe I still haven't been called. This is unacceptable. I want to speak to someone in charge," she says, her voice growing more agitated. A different receptionist, now visibly annoyed, repeats the same lines. "Please, ma'am, I ask that you remain patient. You will be called shortly." Karen returns to her seat, scoffing again, and waits. Another half-hour passes before her name is finally called. She stands up quickly, grabs her purse, and storms toward the office, still clearly upset. When she opens the door, she is greeted with a warm smile from the doctor. "Good afternoon, Miss Karen. My name is Dr. Anna, and I will be taking care of you today. Please, have a seat." But Karen doesn't move. She stands in the doorway, scrutinizing the doctor from head to toe. Dr. Anna is a young woman, probably in her 30s, with a professional demeanor and calm eyes. Karen finally speaks, her voice sharp. "No. I'm not being seen by you." Dr. Anna raises an eyebrow, confused. "I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Is there an issue?" Karen scoffs, her tone dripping with disdain. "The issue is that I'm not letting a woman of color treat me. This is outrageous." For a moment, Dr. Anna's smile fades, and she seems taken aback. She can't quite believe what she's hearing. "Excuse me? Ma'am, I'm a professional, and I'm here to help you." "My color has nothing to do with this," Dr. Anna calmly stated. Karen shook her head, clearly agitated. "No, no, no. I want another doctor. I will not accept this. I don't feel comfortable." The situation escalated quickly as Karen's voice grew louder, her anger becoming more evident with every passing second. Her yelling began drawing the attention of staff and other patients in the area. Nurses and employees attempted to intervene, but Karen was clearly out of control. "I want to speak with the head of this hospital. This is outrageous. How can you force me to be treated by her?" Karen shouted. Dr. Anna maintained her professional demeanor, but it was obvious that she was uncomfortable. She tried to speak, but Karen's interruptions made it nearly impossible. It wasn't long before the hospital director, Dr. Paulo, arrived at the scene. "What's going on here? What is all this noise?" he demanded. Karen immediately turned toward him, her face twisted with disdain. "I demand to be seen by another doctor. I will not be treated by this young woman of color." Dr. Paulo crossed his arms firmly and looked Karen in the eye, his expression serious. "Listen here, ma'am. Dr. Anna is a highly qualified and competent professional. She is here to take care of you. We do not tolerate any form of discrimination in this hospital. Discrimination? I'm not discriminating against anyone. I just want another doctor. This is my right. Karen shot back. Dr. Paulo took a step forward, his tone unwavering. Your right, ma'am, is to be treated by whoever is available. Right now, Dr. Anna is the one available. If you don't want to be treated by her, you're free to leave the hospital. Karen stood frozen, mouth agape. It was clear she expected a different response. For a brief moment, the room fell silent as her gaze moved between Dr. Anna, the nurses, and Dr. Paulo. With her face red from anger, she snapped toward Dr. Anna, "This is absurd. Do you have any idea who I am? I will never set foot in this place again." Dr. Paulo nodded. "That's your choice, ma'am. But if you stay, you will be seen by Dr. Anna. The decision is yours." With no other options, Karen begrudgingly sat down in the examination room, muttering to herself as Dr. Anna began the consultation with utmost professionalism, despite the clear discomfort in the air. The doctor examined Karen carefully, providing a prescription for her headache and explaining the treatment clearly. Karen took the prescription with a huff, occasionally muttering and rolling her eyes. When the consultation ended, she stood up abruptly. "I'll never come back to this disgusting place," she said, storming out of the room. As she left the hospital, Karen continued muttering in indignation, paying no attention to the curious and disapproving looks from other patients and staff. She climbed into her car, slammed the door, and sped off, eager to leave the whole situation behind. The following morning, Karen woke up feeling significantly better. The headache that had plagued her the day before had vanished. While she couldn't deny that something had worked, she still refused to believe that Dr. Anna's treatment had anything to do with it. She looked at herself in the bedroom mirror, adjusting her hair and closely inspecting her appearance. She put on an elegant dress and walked through the house, her steps deliberate, as she inspected every corner of her home. Karen's home was a clear reflection of who she was: large, luxurious, and impersonal. The expensive furniture and the constant sheen of the marble floors couldn't hide the emptiness that lingered, despite the sophistication of it all. There was something missing, something money couldn't buy. She took pride in her life, believing her success was proof of her superiority. A grand house, designer clothes, and a comfortable lifestyle were symbols of her achievements. She looked down on anything she considered beneath her. For Karen, the worth of a person was determined by their skin color and social standing, beliefs that had been ingrained in her since childhood and never questioned. Raised in an environment steeped in prejudice, her parents had been strict elitists who taught her that certain people didn't belong in their world. Karen had carried these ideals with her, never pausing to reflect on them. To her, anyone who was different or from a lower class automatically became someone to disdain. But on that particular morning, Karen had no time to reflect on the past. Her son, Arthur, was returning home after 12 years away. She felt, for the first time in a long while, she had something to truly be proud of. He was the only person in her life whom she considered truly special, even if she didn't agree with many of his choices. Proudly, she looked forward to showing everyone that her son was a respected doctor. In preparation for his arrival, Karen had gone all out to impress. She had polished the silverware, chosen the finest wine, and prepared a dinner worthy of the occasion. The house felt more alive that afternoon, but not with the warmth of family. It was her desire to impress, not to welcome, that drove her. Arthur, however, couldn't have been more different from his mother. From a young age, he had shown a kind and selfless heart, always willing to help others. While Karen focused on what she considered important, status and success, Arthur never hesitated to put others first. Years before, he had decided to join an NGO that provided medical assistance to underprivileged families. Karen had never hidden her disapproval of this choice, considering it a waste of time. "A doctor like you, dealing with poor people who just waste everything," she had said when he announced his decision. But Arthur had never been swayed by his mother's comments. He knew his calling extended beyond private hospitals and wealthy clients. He wanted to make a real difference, and that's exactly what he did during his 2 years away, saving lives and learning from the stories of the people he served. Now, with his mission accomplished, Arthur was returning home, bringing with him his fiancée. He had bought an apartment in the city center and was ready to start a new chapter in his life. Karen had always suspected that Arthur had met someone during his time away. He had briefly mentioned it during one of their rare phone calls. His living situation was remote, with no internet access, so communication had been infrequent. All she knew about the woman was that she, too, was a doctor, which was enough for Karen to boast. "My son is coming home with his fiancée, a doctor. What luck I have," she had told a friend a few days earlier, imagining that his future wife would be just like her, elegant, well-spoken, and fitting into her world perfectly. The evening was supposed to reflect the elegance Karen prided herself on. Her home, filled with sophistication, was the perfect setting for impressing her son and his fiancée. The dinner table was set with fresh flowers and decorative candles, the aroma of the meal filling the air. Karen couldn't help but feel satisfied with her efforts. It was a spectacle she believed showcased the greatness of her family. She was ready to make a lasting impression. At exactly 8 p.m., the doorbell rang. Karen adjusted her dress one last time, took a deep breath, and opened the door with an excited smile. "Arthur, my dear, you're here," she exclaimed, but her words faltered when her eyes landed on the woman standing beside him. The fiancée of her son was none other than Anna, the black doctor who had treated her at the hospital the day before. Karen's smile instantly vanished, replaced by an expression of utter shock. For a moment, she was speechless. Then, she inhaled deeply and pointed a trembling finger toward Anna. What is she doing here?" Arthur, confused by his mother's reaction, spoke up. "Mom, this is Anna, my fiancée." Silence hung in the air, thick with tension. Karen felt her legs weaken, and she leaned against the door to steady herself, her mind spinning. How was this possible? The woman she had insulted and despised just a day ago was now standing before her as her son's fiancée. Karen tried to compose herself, but the shock was overwhelming. Her blood felt like it was boiling as she stared at Anna, who remained calm and composed, though it was evident she was uncomfortable. But Karen didn't welcome her. Instead, she shouted, No, this can't be true. This woman, with her skin color, cannot be your fiancée." Arthur froze, his face a mixture of surprise and discomfort as his mother's voice filled the room. What was supposed to be a joyful occasion quickly turned heavy with tension. Anger simmered in Karen's chest as she realized that the woman before her was now part of her family. She couldn't accept it. Arthur, still reeling from his mother's outburst, took a moment to gather himself. His expression was one of disbelief as he looked at Anna, who, despite the tension, maintained her dignity. He took her hand in his, took a deep breath, and turned to face Karen. "Mom, how can you say something like that? This is unacceptable," he said firmly. Karen stepped back, shaking her head. "Unacceptable? It's unacceptable that you're bringing this woman into our family. I will never allow it." Arthur, struggling to contain his own fury, looked at Anna again. He saw the hurt in her eyes, but she remained calm, not letting Karen's prejudice affect her. He looked at Anna with resolve and apologized. "Anna, I'm so sorry. I didn't expect my mother to react like this." Karen tried to defend herself, her voice shaking with emotion. "I'm your mother. I'm only thinking of what's best for you. This woman is not worthy of being in our family. I won't allow it." Up until then, Anna had remained silent. Finally, she spoke in a calm, steady voice. "I won't let you speak to me like that. Your prejudice is ridiculous." Arthur squeezed Anna's hand gently and said, "Let's go, Anna. We don't need to hear any more." Without another word, they turned and left, Karen still standing in the doorway, stunned and alone. The rest of the night, Karen struggled to process what had just happened. The situation felt unimaginable to Karen. The idea of Anna, a black woman, being a part of her family was beyond her comprehension. As she walked through the house, anger and disbelief consumed her. They're not getting married. I won't accept it, she kept repeating to herself, as if the words could somehow change reality. She threw herself onto the bed, but sleep wouldn't come. The image of Arthur holding Anna's hand was burned into her mind, a constant, painful reminder. The thought that her son might be angry with her over this situation was terrifying, but the idea of him marrying Anna was even worse. Meanwhile, Arthur also couldn't sleep. He was deeply embarrassed and disappointed. He had always known his mother had prejudices, but he never imagined they ran so deep. As he lay next to Anna, he felt a mix of sadness and anger. "I can't believe this happened," he muttered, breaking the silence. Anna opened her eyes and looked at him. "I'm so sorry, Arthur. I never meant to cause any problems between you and your mom, but she crossed the line." Arthur nodded, his frustration evident. "My mother, she never wanted to accept that the world doesn't revolve around her ideas. I just didn't know how toxic it was." Anna sighed. "Remember when I told you about the woman who attacked me at the hospital yesterday? It was your mother." Arthur's eyebrows shot up in surprise. What? My mom? Incredible, I know. I recognized her as soon as she opened the door. I had no idea she was your mother until now. She was very rude to me, but I didn't know the connection to you." Arthur ran his hands through his hair, feeling even more embarrassed. "I can't believe she did that. No wonder you were so shocked when you saw her." "I'm so sorry, Anna. I had no idea." Anna took his hand gently. "It's okay, Arthur. We'll work through this together. It's not your fault." Their story began 2 years earlier in Guinea, where Anna had moved as a child with her parents in search of better opportunities. After years of hard work, she graduated in medicine and, like Arthur, chose to use her skills to help those in need. She had been working with an NGO in Guinea for a year when Arthur arrived, full of energy and ideas. From the start, he was drawn to Anna's intelligence and determination. She was responsible for training new doctors on the local community and conditions. As they spent more time together, they realized how much they had in common. The connection between them was natural and fast. Soon, they were in love. After years together, Arthur proposed, and Anna said yes. They decided to move back to Brazil to build a life together, with a new apartment and jobs lined up at the same hospital. They were ready to start this new chapter, but Karen's reaction had shaken their vision for the future. The next day, Arthur visited his mother alone, determined to have a serious conversation. "Let me make something very clear," he began. "I'm marrying Anna, and you can't stop it." Karen crossed her arms, her stance defensive. "If you think I'll accept this, you're very mistaken. I forbid this marriage." Arthur let out a bitter laugh. "Forbid it, Mom. I'm not a child anymore. This isn't about you, it's about us. I came here today because I want you to understand." Arthur took a deep breath. "Yes, that's exactly what I'm asking, change. Anna deserves respect, and so do I. You're invited to the wedding, but only if you're willing to reconsider your behavior and apologize to her." Karen narrowed her eyes, refusing to relent. She gave no sign of changing her stance. She couldn't accept what Arthur was asking of her. The wedding went on without Karen's presence. It was a beautiful ceremony, filled with love, surrounded by Anna's friends and family. Over time, Arthur began visiting his mother less and less. Each attempt at reconciliation was met with Karen's stubbornness. Eventually, they stopped trying to mend things. Years passed. Anna and Arthur had 2 children and built a happy, fulfilling life together. The void left by Karen was filled by the love and support of Anna's parents, who treated Arthur as their own son. Karen, on the other hand, remained isolated in her large, flawless house, which had become a hollow echo of the life she had chosen. The walls that once represented her perceived superiority now only reflected the loneliness she had embraced. As the years went by, Karen never regretted her actions. She remained trapped in her prejudice, unable to see the consequences of her choices. Meanwhile, Arthur and Anna moved forward, building a home rooted in respect, love, and understanding. And so, the lesson was clear: choices rooted in prejudice and intolerance come at a steep price. Karen lost her family, while Arthur and Anna found a love that transcended barriers. Prejudice may cause defeat, but love and respect, once built, endure. And just like Arthur and Anna's story, I have another touching story to share with you. Just click the video on your screen, and I'll see you there.